can make love or the shit.
You like your beats to bump, right? Who doesn't like their beats to bump? So
that's the point of the song. I want you to be bumping in the car like this shit beating.
Sonic Gold Production.
Hey, what's going on YouTube, friends and fam? This is Princeton Brown from Sonic Gold Productions, here to help you turn your music into Sonic Gold. Today's video is all about mixing R&B vocals. I'm gonna be walking you guys through all the steps necessary to take your vocals from something that is mediocre and not as professional sounding to something that could be played on the radio today. But before we get into today's video, I have a free resource that I wanted to share with you guys. It's a mini course called 6 Mix Finalizers, available on my website. You can take it completely for free as a gift from me to you. So if you wanna complete more mixes this year, definitely take that free mini course, link in description below. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. This is kind of like already a template that I already had built, and I'm gonna go over it with you, but it's very simple. Like basically you have your mix bus, your beat, vocals, effects. So if you can imagine, all your vocals are gonna go through this track, and your beat is gonna go through the beat track, or the beat aux. Do you know the difference between an aux track and an audio track?
No.
So an aux track is, it doesn't have audio on the track itself. So what is the purpose then? The purpose of an aux track then is I can apply plugins on this aux track, which is vocals, and it will affect the sound of all my vocals.
Oh, okay.
I can apply plugins on the beat aux here, and it will affect the sound of the beat. So that's the point of an aux track, is you can apply one plugin or however many plugins on that aux track, and it affects the sound of maybe you got 10, 20, 30, however many different tracks routing through it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, cool. And then the mix bus is essentially all of these tracks here, the beat, vocals, effects, all of these different effects here, which we only have 2 right now at the moment. All of these things are running through the mix bus, and then out of the mix bus we go to the master. So that's kind of the signal chain. Remember last session how I was teaching like signal chain? Like how the vocal, like you gotta plug it in over here and amplify it, and that's the routing. So to understand like mixing, you gotta understand like the signal flow of where your audio is going through, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I bet. So now to import your tracks, Command-Shift-I for import. And then we wanna go to your folder. So here goes our file. So we got the beat, all of these we want to import. We want to import them as a new track, boom. So there we go. And then I'll put all of these up top. And then the next critical thing is to just start labeling, kind of like organizing. So right here is your lead vocal. In Pro Tools, I can turn on this thing called comments. So I get this comments box, yeah.
Like,
it just created this box here.
Oh, okay. So is it like a YouTube?
No. It's just like an area. So you could. I like to use the comments just for me to know what the different tracks are. Because right here it will just generate a name. It'll give it a name. Sometimes I like to just have my own name. So then these are all background vocals, so I'm gonna highlight all of them and change that color, right? If you double click here, you can change the color. Okay. And so that's how I like to just visually like group things. So I know that, this is my lead vocal, so I like to color my lead vocal purple. None of these are like rules, but it's just kind of like what I like to do. And then these are our background vocals. The next thing I'll do in Pro Tools is just set up a group. So a group is like, once you selected all these tracks, you can group them together so that you can either mute all of them at the same time, solo them all at the same time, change the volume of all of them together at the same time. So to do that, Command-G creates a group. You can call this group something, I'll just call it BV for background vocals. And then now you see, when I increase and change the volume, they all change the volume. So we're almost to the fun part. This is like the setup, so you got to make sure the setup is proper. But for now, I'm just gonna mute all these because I really just want to deal with the lead vocal first and the beat. So for the output now, this is very important. Remember I said signal flow. So we got to make sure we select the right outputs for our tracks. Right now it's just going through monitor left, right, which is our master. But we want to be able to, as I said, affect, we want our vocals to go through the vocal bus. We want our beat to go through the beat, etc. So on the output here, since this is the beat, we're going to do track, we're going to do beat. That easy. This is our lead vocal. These are also vocals. So if you want to select multiple things like I just did, I can click here, hold shift, and I got everything selected. And then on the output, we're gonna do vocals. Boom. So now all of our vocal tracks are going to the vocals, and the beat is going to the beat. So now, once this is where we're at, now we can just start leveling the vocal to the beat. So I just want to make sure that the vocal isn't too quiet or too loud on the beat, just volume.
In our world, to make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart.
All right, so right now the vocal is dry and we got the beat. The level is fine. The reason is because you obviously can hear the vocal. It's not like it's too quiet, it's not super loud, so the level's fine. Let's look what our output is doing. So one thing we want to do for sure, if we're talking about mixing, is make sure you have a limiter on your output, on your master track. Sometimes I prefer to put this on the mixbus, which is essentially the same thing as your output. So this.
So that's where you just put it down there on the mixbus?
Yeah, because for example, look, if I mute this mixbus, we don't hear anything. Mm-hmm. That's because both the beat and the vocals are routing through the mixbus.
Okay.
So if I put a limiter on the mixbus, it's essentially just gonna make everything louder.
Okay.
But we want to mix at a level that feels more to like, it feels more like what the finished product is gonna sound like. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be mixing at a super quiet level, so let's dial that in. Notice here we're not even a 10, right? A 10 is for attenuation, which means it's reduction. Mm. So right now we're still not even, like, the limiter is not even fully engaged because we're not even doing any reduction at all yet. So we can see now that it's starting to react to the music being fed to it. So as a general rule of thumb, any song that you generally are listening to, the target, this is the WLM loudness meter. This just measures loudness. Mm-hmm. So any, like majority of music that you listen to, especially something like this, is probably gonna be somewhere around like -8, -9, anywhere from -10 to -8 is where it's mastered at. So that's what we're listening to. So we basically want to get the loudness of this track in that ballpark to start mixing. Here's that -10. So that's perfect. So now let's just start diving into processing the lead vocal. So this is a YouTube beat, so I'm not gonna do too much of the beat right now, but let's play a little bit. So already, like, this vocal already came with auto-tune on it. You recorded with auto-tune. I think JC might have recorded you like through the auto-tune plugin because it's printed in the audio, which is fine. It's totally fine. So first thing I would do is just start creating some space for your vocal to live in the mix. Mm-hmm. So generally what I mean by that is we need to add a little bit of reverb to your voice. So right here, you see we got this aux track called plate. Mm-hmm. So this is where we can add a plate reverb, which is a type of a reverb. It's a very clean sounding reverb. In Pro Tools, you have this column right here that calls send. So we can send a little bit of this track to our plate reverb. If that makes sense. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna click track, We do plate, boom. So now here, we can just send a little bit of this reverb, send a little bit of this, our audio track, which is our lead vocal, to the reverb. And you don't want to like have the vocal swim in reverb. You just want to have enough to the point where you notice it. You take notice of it, you know what I mean?
We chillin' on the beach in the sun, new diamond earrings, rose petals when you walk on the floor, in our world.
Something like that, right? Like you notice that there's a reverb there, but it's not like, it's not overpowering. It's not, you know, it's not the main focus of the vocal, right? So now let's listen to the vocal.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun, new diamond earrings.
So the next thing you can do, notice here I already have a delay set up. This is just the H delay plugin, pretty basic stuff. We do not have the tempo though. So this is a key thing. Notice that automatically by default, you know what tempo is, right?
Yeah.
The beats per minute, like how fast and how slow a track is.
Yeah.
So right now, like whenever you open up Pro Tools, automatically, in most DAWs, automatically it's at 120. The problem with that is that that's not the tempo of our track. So we want to match the tempos before we get into like dialing in delays and stuff like that. So to match the tempo now, I want to bring up this transport window right here. You see it says meter tempo 120. We're going to click on that. And if you click T, not right now, but like as the beat goes, and you can do this if you want, you're going to be able to find that tempo and kind of like lock it in. So we'll start playing. So start clicking T like this. See it changing? Keep going. So it's kind of like staying on 92, right? So it looks like 92 is our tempo. So boom. We believe it's 92 because you just did a bunch of clicks and it kind of went to 92, right?
We chillin' on the beach in the
So we can get rid of the, let's get rid of the click track now. We don't need that.
We chillin' on the beach in the
So the reason why we needed to find the tempo of the beat is so that we can lock in the right delay. So notice how our delay now is set to 92. Before it was set to like 120 BPM. Now it's set to the right tempo. So now we can go here and add send a little bit of our lead vocal to the delay. So let's do that now. And I'll actually do this in solo. You know what solo mode is?
No.
Solo mode is like when you want to hear like one individual thing, like a vocal, a beat, whatever it is.
Okay.
So that's this like S right here.
Okay.
So that just means I want to solo this. I just want to hear this by itself. So the reason why I'm doing this in solo mode is because I want to hear exactly when I start to perceive the delay. Like I don't want the delay to be overpowering. So if I were to do it with the beat in, sometimes you could be mixing in too much delay because the beat is also loud and you don't really hear as well. So you mix in too much, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna hear how much delay we need for this lead vocal.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun, new diamond earrings.
So it's already starting to get a little bit too much, right? So it starts to turn down some of the feedback. Feedback is how many times we want the delay to keep continuing after we hear it. And right now I'm gonna set it to an 1/8 note delay.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun, new diamond earrings, rose petals.
We just want like enough, just like a small amount just to create some kind of like a vibe is what I like to call it. It just makes our vocal a little bit less dry.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun, new diamond earrings, rose petals.
And I kind of like to time this so that by the next phrase, like once the next phrase comes in, those previous delays are kind of cut out.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun, new diamond earrings, rose petals.
You know what I mean? Like the previous delays kind of drop out by the time your next phrase comes in. So cool, we got reverb delay set up. Let's listen to the vocal in the track again now.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun, new diamond earrings, Rose petals when you walk on the floor. And I will work hard to make sure that you're secure.
So your vocal already sounds pretty good. Like you just without, like if you have a good recording, which you know we get good recordings in the studio, like it's crazy how great, you know, your vocal can sound with just some reverb and delay. You don't gotta do a lot. Like if I were to take these two things off.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings. Rose petals when you walk on the floor.
You know what I mean? And put this back on.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings. Rose petals when you walk on the floor. And I will work hard to make sure that you're secure. I give you my heart. Just need to know if you're secure.
Kind of gives it just...
Just roast it up a little bit.
You know what I mean? That's just reverb and delay. Super simple. Hey, I hope you guys have been finding this video helpful and useful. I have a free resource, link in description below. It's called 6 Mix Finalizers. It's a mini course that I've designed to help producers, artists, upcoming engineers just like yourself finish your mixes faster. And I really wish someone would have shared this resource with me in the beginning of my mixing journey. So if you want to go check that out, link is in the description below. Let's get back to the video. All right, the next thing I hear is, you notice in here, like in your vocal, there's some moments where your vocal is super loud, not super loud, but just louder. And then notice, you know, there's moments where it's quieter, right? There's moments where you're projecting more, moments where you're a little bit more chill. So we want to level that out so that it's a smooth listening experience for, you know, the listener. You know what I mean? We don't want your vocal to be jumping super loud at one point and then like really quiet and like you gotta like, yeah, what is he saying? It's not that bad. There's definitely been a lot worse vocals, but the way that you even that vocal out is with a compressor. You heard about a compressor before, right? So we just want to compress your vocals just enough so that it feels like a smooth performance throughout. Like we don't want to kill it because you're singing. We want it to be dynamic, but we want it to be smooth. So that's probably the first thing I'm gonna put on your vocal. So right here is your inserts. So this is where you can add plugins to your voice. So I'm gonna go here to multi-channel plugin. And right in here, you know, you have a bunch of different plugins you can choose. EQ, dynamics, pitch, reverb, delay, all these different plugins. But we're dealing with compression, so that's dynamics. So we're gonna go here to my dynamics. And I really want to use, I don't even think they have it, but you know, I think they don't got the compressor I want to use. Let me use the LA2A. So this is just gonna smooth out the peaks and valleys or the loud moments and the quiet moments of your voice a little bit. So let's hear this in action.
Chillin' on the beach.
So already this thing increases the volume a lot, so we gotta turn it down.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings.
Let's hear it.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings. Rose petals when you walk on.
So I'm gonna exaggerate the compression so you can hear it and then put it to where I feel like it should be. So let's listen.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings.
I mean, that's all the way.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings.
Like that's like suffocating your voice, right? So what this is doing is it's compressing your voice. It's just making it more controlled and more even, but obviously you don't want to do that.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun.
That doesn't sound good, right? So we want to set the right amount. So I'll go back to 0, meaning we're not compressing at all.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings.
So we're not compressing at all there because the needle's not moving, but I just want to do enough so that I feel the loud moments when your voice comes out are a little more tamed, a little more even.
Chillin' on.
So you just watch the needle. Look for somewhere around -3 to like -7 or so.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun. Chillin' on.
Like the chillin', could I use a little bit of compression?
Chillin' on the beach in the sun. Chillin' on the beach.
Let's keep going.
Chillin' on the beach.
So right now it started to engage.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun.
So notice how that chilling is a little bit more smooth versus this.
Chilling on the beach in the sun. Chilling on the beach in the sun.
It's a little bit more even, right?
Chilling on the beach in the sun. New diamond. Chilling on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings.
Let's hear that phrase.
Rose petals. New diamond earrings.
Here's without it,
New diamond earrings.
and with it.
New diamond earrings.
So it takes a while for your ear to kind of pick up those subtleties, but I kind of showed you in the beginning just by like exaggerating it, like how squashed is what we call it, your voice sounded, right? Like the compression was just like clamping down on your voice. So this is just kind of holding your voice together a little bit more in the track. So let's listen.
The sun. New diamond earrings. Rose petals when you walk on the floor. And I will work hard to make sure that you're sick.
Here, right there.
And I will work hard
That kind of is getting a little loud for me right there. How you say that? But with the compressor and
on the floor. And I will work hard
a little bit
to
more
make sure
smoother.
that you're secure. I give you my heart.
Right there, the heart.
I give you my heart.
We could actually compress a little bit more just to tame it.
I give you my heart.
Right, so before.
I give you my heart.
Hear how your voice like,
Yeah,
you got
like louder.
I don't want to say harsh because it's not necessarily harsh. It's just like, is loud, right?
Yeah, it's louder.
It's overpowering.
Yeah.
But now with this in there,
I give you my heart.
Yeah,
I just want a smooth experience. That's it. And we'll probably do multiple stages of compression because your voice is pretty dynamic and we want your voice at the front of the mix, on top of the mix. So this is just our first stage of compression. All right, let's go to the next plugin that I would add.
To make sure that you're secure.
So you notice those little, to make sure that you're secure, the little T's, the S's.
Yes.
All of that. So that's when we get into de-essing. So let's just bring up our basic de-esser. Generally, I like to start with 6800 here as a good starting point. But if I go to sidechain mode, this is going to allow me to hear what the de-esser is listening to. So listen to this. So that's what this plugin is listening to. So it's only hearing the high end. So we want to set this at a point where we're only getting the S's and the T's and the all of that stuff. So right there, as I brought it down, I got a lot more of the vocal. This is getting your tone. We don't want the tone. We want to just get the S and T's. That's where all the S's and the T's and all that are starting. Yeah, anywhere there. That's when they become obvious. So now we'll go back to audio.
To make sure that
So this is just full audio coming through now, which is the full sound. And then threshold. Threshold is just compressing those S's and T's. So just making sure that they're smooth.
to make
So let's just do this. Turn that down a little bit. Let's just do this now.
to
So I'm gonna exaggerate it.
make sure that you're secure.
That's just like killing your vocal, right? Like that's exaggerated. So what you can do is come all the way down. There's multiple ways of doing this. You can come all the way down and go up to what's, and then make it stop at the point when you feel like it's natural, or you can keep it up and just keep coming down so it starts to feel more smooth. I'm gonna do this way first.
To make sure that you're secure. To make sure that you're.
So the only reason why I don't like doing this way is like, notice,
To make sure that you're.
look at how much it's attenuating. It's attenuating basically the entire vocal right now, right? It's compressing the entire vocal of the top end, which we do not want. We just want the S and the T. So
To make sure that you're.
right now it's triggering everything, which means it's actually destroying a lot of our vocal sound. I know, it can be a lot to take in.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly bring this down so that it only triggers on the S and T's.
To make sure that you're secure. To make sure that you're secure.
See how it's only on the attenuation? You see how it's only engaging on the S's and the T's, really?
To make sure that you're secure. To make sure that you're secure.
It's good, yeah? All right, cool. So that's the second plugin.
To make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart. Just need to know if you're secure. Say we can fuck it up, I won't play. This ain't regular, my old flame.
Hear this thing raw again.
To make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart. Just need to.
So one thing I would do, so one of the dangers of starting with reverb and delay is you can't really hear, sometimes it becomes hard to hear the tone of the voice. So when it's dry though.
To make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart.
Do you hear how you can hear how it sounds like you're in a room? Right, the vocal recording, slightly. Did you record this in the booth or in the bigger live room? In the booth, yeah. So I can already hear like some low, mid kind of frequency buildup that's happening there. So I'm just gonna use a basic EQ and I'm gonna show you what's going on.
To make sure that you, to make sure that
Somewhere,
to make,
find that room tone.
to make sure that, to make sure that you're sick. To make sure that you're secure.
Yeah, that's like really resonant.
To make sure that you're secure.
And boomy.
Yeah.
So that's what we call a resonant frequency. And what a resonant frequency basically is when like whatever space you're recording in, usually this is for smaller spaces, you're getting a lot of frequency buildup in that area. So it becomes resonant, which means it just becomes pronounced, it becomes loud. But this doesn't sound like your vocal.
To make sure that you're,
like that doesn't sound like your voice to me. That sounds like the room, like you're activating the room.
Yeah.
So we want less of that because we want a clean vocal sound, right?
Yeah.
So what we want to do now is just reduce some of that. And we always generally want to do that with like a really tight cue. Q is just the bandwidth of like how much you're cutting. Like you could do a very broad cut or you could just do a nice little sliver. And that's kind of what we're doing is a sliver.
to make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart.
You see how much cleaner your voice sounds right there? So I'll just bypass it.
To make sure that you're secure.
And put it back in.
To make sure that you're secure.
You notice the cleanness?
To make sure that you're secure.
Bypass.
To make sure that you're,
You know, that woofiness, all of that kind of sound is activating the room is in.
to make sure that you're,
If I put this in,
to make sure that you're secure.
cleaner, right?
Yeah.
So that's our first plugin. And then we're going into compression, de-essing, and we'll continue from there. But let's play the vocal now.
In our work hard to make sure that you're secure. I give you my heart.
So you notice this phrase right here?
In our work hard to make sure that you're secure.
You see how the energy of that phrase that to make sure that you're secure is kind of lower? Like right here, this phrase right here was nice and pronounced.
In our work hard to make sure that you're secure.
See how the energy kind of dipped right there? So that's where we need to have another compressor to kind of hold the vocal at a higher level in the mix and make sure that every single line has a more even energy. So we already have one compressor here, but this is the advantage of like having
The
a
mixbus,
second one.
or is that the advantage of that?
What, the mixbus? Now we'll get into the mixbus. The mixbus later will be used to like glue the sound of everything together.
No, it was another thing you told me that you put like a gang of plugins through.
Oh yeah, these aux tracks.
The aux tracks, that's what it was.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into those in a bit. We're still creating the vocal chain.
Yeah.
So this is for your lead vocal. So yeah, I want to add another compressor, and I think for your voice. Well, actually, let's just do. I really like using this one actually for leveling. So let me just dive into it, and then I'll explain it after.
Beach in the sun, new diamond earrings, Rose petals when you walk on the floor. And I will work hard to make sure that you're secure. I give you my heart, just need to know if you're secure.
So this compressor is so cool because like you don't really need to do much at all. That's why this is actually a very underused compressor. As soon as I put it on, it was a little bit too loud, so I just had to come down here and turn it down by negative 1.8 dB or so for this particular vocal, but it's already compressing once you slap this compressor on, and what this is doing is just evening out the vocal. So with a 4.
We're chilling on the beach in the sun, new diamond earrings, rose petals when you walk on the floor. And I will work hard to make sure that you're secure.
And then with this in,
rose petals when you walk on the floor. And I will work hard to make sure that you're secure.
you see how your vocal just feels more like in your face and level? It's more interesting to listen to. You know what I'm saying? So one thing that you can do just to make sure that you don't get lost in the mix in terms of like understanding where your vocals should be, because I know we just went through a lot of information. On this track right here, you can hold shift and click A, and that will bypass all the plugins. So here's before, like completely raw, no plugins or nothing. Maybe let's go to a different section.
Rain, we can make a love order. Share the counter in it. Where you know I'm down for it. And I'm telling you.
Right? And then with the plugins in.
Rain, we can make a love order. Share the counter in it. Where you know I'm down for it.
Sounds more like
and
a track,
I'm telling you, if I was your man, you'd be happy forever.
So already it sounds like, to me it's already sounding like a record. Like it's almost there in terms of the lead vocal. Hey, I hope you guys have been finding this video helpful and useful. I have a free resource, link in description below. It's called 6 Mix Finalizers. It's a mini course that I've designed to help producers, artists, upcoming engineers just like yourself finish your mixes faster. And I really wish someone would have shared this resource with me in the beginning of my mixing journey. So if you want to go check that out, link is in the description below. Let's get back to the video. All right, so the next thing that I would do is possibly shape the tone of your vocal a little bit more like, you know, this is R&B and you're doing a lot of singing. So definitely having like a nice not crystally, but just a nice shine on the top end would be nice for your vocal, you know what I mean? Nice presence up there, right? One of my favorite plugins to do that in general would just be like a pultec style EQ. And let's see, we got this. I'm not gonna use that one because I never use this one. Let me use use the waves one. Pultec. So this is a real famous EQ used all over the place. But basically I'm gonna keep the bandwidth at 5. Right here you have a high end boost and a high end cut. You also have a low end boost, low end cut. And right here are the different areas that you can boost on the high end. So when you see 3, 4, 5, this is in kilohertz. Kilohertz is, I know a lot of these terms like you're very unfamiliar with, but I'm just giving you the kind of rundown. Kilohertz is frequencies. So you know your lower frequencies are on the left side, which are just lower numbers. Your higher frequencies is more the clarity, more the brightness, and that's up here on the you know, 3, 4, 5K, 8K, 10K, etc. So I'm gonna boost some of this, and you're gonna kind of hear the difference of what I'm talking about.
And we can make a love order, share the counter in it. Where you know I'm down for it. And I'm telling you, if I was your man, you'd be happy forever. I would be everything that you need.
Hear the difference? The clarity?
If I was your man, you'd be happy forever. I would be everything that you need.
yeah.
If I was your man, you'd be happy forever.
It sound way cleaner
I
now.
would
Like,
be everything that you need.
I was waiting for a reaction like
Yeah.
that. What's he gonna hear?
cause I wasn't really hearing it at first. He smooth up a little bit more. I said, oh yeah, I see a total difference.
What we did was we just boosted. The nice thing about this EQ is like you can boost a lot and it doesn't get harsh easy. So that's one thing I like. A lot of other EQs, you boost a lot and then it starts to sound harsh on the vocals. But for this one particularly, once we boosted a lot, we boosted quite a bit. 5.3 around 16 kilohertz. And that just kind of gives you that kind of air and that clarity and that openness to the voice. So before.
If I was your man and you were my girl.
And then we put it in.
If I was your man and you were my girl, I would take good care of your needs. Say this ain't regular.
So now your vocal is just very clear, very upfront. Let's do another bypass of everything. So here's bypass everything.
If I was your man and you were my girl, I would take good care of your needs.
You know, that sounds like a demo, you know, like you just recording. So here's the, and then here's a mixed version.
If I was your man and you were my girl, I would take good care of your needs. Say this ain't regular.
Feels more like a track, right? Like something you would listen to.
it sound more like it's out of my head now.
Yeah.
Instead of like,
So this is a good starting point for your vocal, which is just 5 plugins. Notice we haven't even done anything with the beat. But from here, like the majority of the sound of this song is just gonna be your lead vocal and your beat. But then of course, you know, we gotta mix in the background vocals, so we'll get to that. The next thing I wanna do is just show you the overall sound of, like tweak the overall sound of the mix. So essentially that's gonna be adding some plugins on the mixbus here, which is gonna affect the overall sound. So one thing we can do here is add a compressor on the mixbus, and the reason why we would want to add a compressor on the mixbus is so remember the beat and the vocal are running through the mixbus. But there are no plugins besides the limiter right now that are affecting both of those things. So mixing is all about like categorizing and understanding, as I said, signal flow. You have your vocal here. Think of it as like a river. You have your vocal here as a river. You have your beat as a river. We just affected the vocal a lot with the vocal chain, right? We haven't put any plugins on the beat. And then they're both joining, both of these rivers or both of these chains are joining together in the mix bus. So if we put a plugin on the mix bus, it's affecting both of those. So if you want to affect the overall sound of what you're listening to, you got to put a plugin on the mix bus. And the plugin that I'm talking about specifically is going to be a compressor, because we want to control the dynamics of the track a bit more. Like essentially it's just going to fit your vocal into the beat a bit more.
okay.
And just make the whole thing feel like more cohesive. So to do that, I'm just going to use a Fairchild style compressor. So I'm gonna do this process and then I'm gonna explain it afterwards, so check it out.
Share the counter in it, where you know I'm down for it. And I'm telling you, if I was your man, you'd be happy forever. I would be everything that you need. If I was your man and you were my girl, I would take good care of your needs. Say this ain't regular. You know I got it, baby.
So again, all of this stuff takes training and like time and practice, but this isn't meant to do a whole lot, but it's doing exactly what we needed to do. So listen to this before.
to make sure that you're secure. I give you my heart.
So to me right now, it sounds like your beat is here and your vocal is slightly above it. In terms of volume, like they're not merging together fully yet. With this compressor in now.
To make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart. Just need to know if you're secure. Say we can fuck it up, I won't play.
I feel like with that compressor in, I feel the beat more equally with your vocal. You feel that?
Yeah, I hear it too.
So this is called glue compression when you look up the term. So what we're doing is essentially gluing your vocal to the beat so that they both feel more, it just feels more cohesive. Yeah. So before.
To make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart. Just need to know if you're secure. Say we.
Simple as that.
You can actually hear like the more like you said, you just hear the beat with the vocal track.
Yeah, with this it's like you hear the beat with the vocal.
Beat.
Exactly. And it's very subtle, but like our mind, because we've listened to so much well-produced tracks, like once you do these processes, like your mind recognizes like, oh yeah, that's how it's definitely supposed to sound.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But if you weren't aware that this is something that you should do, then you would just be, I don't know, you would just be like guessing and just doing all type of things, but it would never result in like, oh yeah, this is how how a produced track is supposed to sound. So we're definitely getting there. Essentially, to just go over this is a Fairchild compressor. It's a famous type of compressor, very used a lot on many hit records. Right here is the threshold, just like how I just compress your voice, with this. Both of these are compressors. They're just used for different things. So, every compressor is gonna have a threshold. Threshold means like, if any volume exceeds this threshold, we're gonna start reducing it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. The time constant is how fast we want to start reducing. So if it's a slow time constant, like all the way over here, that just means like once it hits the threshold, it's gonna be, we're not gonna compress it until like however many milliseconds later, like later. If it's at 1, we're compressing it, we're working on it right away. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know all this stuff is like,
no, I'm trying to learn this shit.
It's all good. It's all good. I know it's a lot of random technical stuff.
I mean, I might not take it all in, but I'm gonna take pieces.
I'm video recording this, so you can refer back to it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you can go back to it.
That's all good.
You know what I mean? So yeah, and then output level is just your volume. So yeah, let's go to another section.
Way we can make love.
Oh, it's just kind of repeated section.
Say we can fuck it up, I won't play. This ain't regular, my old flames, I'm getting rid of them. In the rain, we can make love or the shit.
You like your beats to bump, right? Who doesn't like their beats to bump? So
that's the point of the song. I want you to be bumping in the car like this shit beating, nigga.
So let me give you.
You got the bumpity bumps.
Remember this EQ that we use it on your vocal. So we can also use this on the beat as well. Actually, let's do that. I'm gonna apply this to the mixbus. No, let's apply it to the beat. Because I don't want this process to affect the voice. So I'm basically just gonna boost from low end in the beat. So we have here different areas that we can boost. You have the boost function here. But notice as I boost these certain areas, like you're gonna start to feel the kick come out more. It's gonna start to knock a little bit more. So check it out. And it's good to do this at low level because then we can really feel the difference.
Champagne, we chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings, rose petals when you walk on the floor. And I will work hard to make sure that you're.
It's starting to do something, but it's not doing enough. One thing to really pay attention to when you're boosting low end, especially across a 2-track and like an entire beat, you don't want to boost a broad range of low end. That's too much. Your mix is going to start to become muddy, is what it's called. So we want to stay more on the sharp side, more on the narrow side of boosting things. If it's broad, like this, then it's just too much. We're boosting too much. We're gonna get too much low end in our signals. So let me show you that all the way broad.
Champagne, we chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings,
Cleaner right now.
rose petals when you walk on the floor. In
Why do you
our
know my
world,
So we want it to be very narrow. Check out the narrow on this.
champagne, we chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings.
So we're still boosting a little bit too much. So let me show you the different points as well.
Champagne,
This is 100.
chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings, rose petals when you walk on the floor.
Which one did you like the best? Which one did you feel the best?
I was thinking like 30.
You got a good ear, man. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Because once you get into 100, it starts to like muddy up the sound a little bit too much.
Champagne, we chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings, rose petals when you walk on.
The 60 gave it a little bit of oomph without muddying it up, right? So let's bypass that.
Champagne, we chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings, rose petals.
Now it's bumping more. So let's fix it. So now let's just get the right amount. We don't want to do too much because then it will get muddy, but we just want to do enough.
Champagne, we chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings.
Feel right about there is when I notice like, okay, I feel a change here. Like it's starting to, I feel it more. So bypass.
Champagne, we chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings,
Go a little bit more.
rose petals when you walk on the floor. In our world, to make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart. Just need to know if you're secure. Say we can fuck it up, I won't play. This ain't regular, my own.
Like I can actually hear it like the beating.
We can make it love.
That's what I'm saying.
I can hear like the doom.
And we're doing this on NS10s as well, which is like, these speakers don't really they don't produce a lot of bass, but that's fine because right now we're critically trying to make decisions. We're not necessarily trying to like vibe out and just, bang and listen to a lot of bass. So if we can start to feel the music sounding more full and some of that bass coming in, even on these little NS10s, then we're starting to at least get in the ballpark of where, and it might be a little bit too much just because the NS10s don't reveal all the bass to you really. So I'm gonna just dial it back a little bit, but
We can fuck it up, I won't play. This ain't regular, my own flames. I'm getting rid of them.
I think that's pretty solid. Hey, I hope you guys have been finding this video helpful and useful. I have a free resource, link in description below. It's called 6 Mix Finalizers. It's a mini course that I've designed to help producers, artists, upcoming engineers just like yourself finish your mixes faster. And I really wish someone would have shared this resource with me in the beginning of my mixing journey. So if you want to go check that out, link is in the description below. Let's get back to the video. Now we're at a point where we can start to mix in the background vocals. Let's hear the background vocals first. So here's BV1. I'm gonna make sure I bring all these up.
Make sure that you're secure. I just need to know if you're secure. We can fuck it up, I want.
So this vocal was kind of like, this background here is like kind of like a double almost. Like you're just doubling certain parts in your main vocal, right?
Make sure that you're secure. I give you my heart. Just need to know if you're secure. Make sure that you're secure. I give you my heart.
Yeah, that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of doubling the vocal.
We can fuck it up, I want.
So the main thing, I'm gonna just call this a double. We may not be able to have enough time to get to every single vocal, but we'll get at least this double in.
Okay.
So the main thing with the lead vocal is, the lead vocal is coming up right in the center, right? So in any mix, you have a stereo spectrum. You have all the way to the left, all the way to the right, where anything can be panned, right? Our lead vocal is coming in the center. If we put our double vocal straight up the center, what is it competing with?
The main vocal.
Right. And the reason why it's competing is because you're performing the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Right? The double is performing literally the same thing, like same lyric, same melody. You're just doing it again to emphasize certain parts, right? But I think where a lot of people get mixing the double wrong is they just keep it right in the center along with their lead vocal, which doesn't allow you to really understand like how you're emphasizing certain points in your mix. So one of the plugins that I love to use on doubles automatically is just gonna be the doubler. See how it says doubler? So this plugin basically turns this track, which is really a mono track, it turns this into a stereo track. So before,
We can fuck it up, I want.
and then after,
We can fuck it up, I want.
you hear how it just kind of spread your voice? Kind of cool. So what I'll do generally is keep these at 100% left, right in terms of volume, and then turn down this middle one. You see how each of these little dots is basically an instance of your vocal. These two left and right are like slightly delayed, creating that stereo effect, and then the one in the middle is your original one. I like to turn this one down a little bit so that we hear more of the stereo effect.
We can fuck it up, I want. This ain't regular, my lord.
You know what I mean? Versus before,
We can fuck it up, I want.
that's just your vocal straight in the center.
We can fuck it up, I want.
So then let's hear it in the mix with the other lead vocal.
Hey, we can fuck it up, I want.
You don't really notice it, right? Put it in.
Hey, we can fuck it up, I want. Play, this ain't regular, my lord.
Yeah.
You feel it emphasizing those moments, right?
Hey, we can fuck it up, I want. Play, this ain't regular, my lord.
So mixing doubles, like every other vocal, I think the main, like if I had to tell you, if I had to give you the main juice out of this whole thing, it's once you can get a really great sounding lead vocal with your beat, that is like 90% of the sound right there. Like now that we just brought in this, it helps, but I could also just take this out and it's not like the track fell apart.
Ray.
Like for example, let me mute the double.
Ray, we can make a love order. Share the counter in it.
Like the track is still a vibe. I could put in the double.
Ray, we can make a love order. Share the counter in it. Where you know I'm down for it.
And it sounds good, but you notice like the double is more of like an effect.
Yeah.
It's enhancing the core of the song. The core of the song is the lead vocal and the beat. So once the lead vocal and the beat are really dialed in and tuned in, like you pay a lot of attention to mixing those things, all of this stuff is just like icing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So notice that this is completely dry.
Ray, we can make a love order.
So to make it sound like it's cohesive with your lead vocal, I'm just gonna add a little bit of this reverb to it as well.
Ray, we can make a love order. Ray, we can make a love order.
We just want enough so that we can hear it. You know what I mean? So let's listen to how that sounds with the lead vocal.
We poppin' champagne. We chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings. Rose petals when you walk on the floor.
Do you want to hear more of the double?
No, it sounds good right
To make sure that you're secure.
I feel like there's some moments where it's a little, it could be in the performance. Like it kind of sticks out a little.
To make sure that you're secure. I give you my heart. Just need to know if you're secure. Say we can fuck it up, I want.
So notice, I'm gonna show you a real gem right here. These vocals are your voice. You're saying the same thing twice as a double. Whenever we have the same thing twice, 3 times, however many times, it becomes harder to hear the double or the third thing of it or the fourth thing of it. It becomes harder for our ear to distinguish between those because this is all the same person. For example, if this was a different person doing the doubles, we would hear this a lot more clearly because it's a whole different voice. But because it's your voice, we don't hear it as clear, which is great, which is fine, it has its purpose. But if we want to distinguish it a little bit more between your lead vocal or away from your lead vocal, we need to alter the sound of this. We need to change how it sounds a little bit. One of my favorite ways of doing that is just adding, like, for example, like a little bit of distortion. So let's just try Kramer tape. And just using this flux knob right here adds a little bit of distortion. Let me show you what that sounds like.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun. We chillin' on the beach in the sun.
So you can do a lot. Like, that's a lot. I wouldn't do that much. I just want to show you, what this is doing.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun.
So this is just allowing me to make the texture of this voice slightly different than your lead so that I hear it more in the mix, right? So let's just add some distortion to this, only to the point of which, like, we start to feel like there's a texture change.
To make sure that you're secure.
Like right around there. Let's bypass it.
To make sure that you're secure.
Put it in.
To make sure that you're secure.
You see how that just feels different on the ears? We call that texture. Isn't that crazy? Like, we didn't like EQ or compressor, like, we didn't do a lot. We didn't do much of anything to your voice, just distort it a little bit, and it just feels different to the ear. You notice that? Like, bypass.
To make sure that you're secure.
Put it in.
To make sure that you're secure.
Right? So even just that little bit of difference, let's hear the difference now. See if it made any difference is what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna take it out. Let's listen to your double before.
To make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart.
So now with this distortion in, let's see if we notice it more.
To make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart. Just need to know if you're secure.
You know what I'm saying?
Just need to know if you're secure.
Not as much.
Just need to know if you're secure.
Yeah, I can hear it different.
Subtle, but you hear it, you can pick it out a little bit easier, right? That's the point. And in the doublet too, it already does this thing where it like boosts some high end on the sides, which is a nice touch. We can actually boost more if we want to hear these vocals a little bit more clearly.
We chillin' on the beach in the sun. We chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings. Rose petals when you walk on the floor.
It's nice.
To make sure that you're secure. To make sure that you're secure.
Cool.
To make sure that you're secure, I give you my heart. Just need to know if you're secure. Say we can fuck it up, I want play. This ain't regular, my own flame from getting rid of them.
What are your thoughts? You wanna do just a quick before after? Take out everything. Let's just take out everything here. So here is no plugins. Whoops.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings. Rose petals when you walk on the floor. In our world.
And let's put in everything.
Chillin' on the beach in the sun. New diamond earrings. Rose petals when you walk on the floor. In our world. To make sure that you're secure.
I think the biggest thing from this though is for you to realize that mixing just makes a song sound more like a finished track. It doesn't make the song. A lot of people rely on mixing to like make the song. Like it doesn't make the song. You already had the song. Your voice already sound. You already have a good voice. You can sing. The beat is cool. I didn't make the beat. I'm just making everything feel more like a finished track. You get what I'm saying? So hopefully that like was more clear in that before and after.
Yeah.
What's happening? You good? And we just finishing up this track, you know, mixing this one. So we'll come back to this.
All right.
Yeah, we'll come back to this next Wednesday, but we they got to dive into their own like sessions now.
Oh, follow me at Stoner from the Town official on YouTube.
But who are you? Who are you?
I'm Stoner from the Town, aka J Stone Roo. You know, I'm on YouTube and Instagram. I'm on No Jumper. You go look at my No Jumper.
What do you do? What do you do though?
I'm an artist. I'm a singer, songwriter, rapper. You know, comedian. I'm everything.
Comedian as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's get it, man. That was
Jack of all trades.
That was a breakdown.
Exactly.
Let me say this little intro.
You hear me? That's what my grandpa used to always say. He say, be the jack of all trades and the master of none. I'm the jack of all trades, but the master of none. Cool. Yeah.
Hold on, let me say this.
That part.
YouTube, man, we out. That was basically mixing R&B vocals for my guy. And we'll be back into like finishing the background vocals, but hope y'all learned something from that. Stay tuned. Hey, I hope you guys have learned something from today's video. I would love to hear your thoughts, so comment below and I'll check those out. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the future videos coming up. My name is Princeton Brown. I'm a producer and mixing engineer based in Los Angeles, and I would love to hear from you. If you have a brand new song that you're working on and would love a mix on by me, send it my way. I would also love to give you feedback on the mixes that you're working on, so please send those my way. Last but not least, I have a free mini course called 6 Mix Finalizers. All of this information is in the description below. Thank you guys again for tuning in and watching. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
Sonic Gold Production.